Hello, folks. This is your boom, 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 drone 'em good update for the 4th. God, we need a little clarification here. For those of you that think that I'm some kind of a warmonger or that I love Trump or whatever, let me point out to you that I've got a document up that was somewhat parodic about running for president. I'm going to read you the foreign policy section of this. Just the first couple sentences. The economic part of it we can leave alone. Quote, "It shall be the foreign policy of the United States that unless one, an American, or two, a piece of American property, including a flagged vessel, aircraft, embassy, or other item, is damaged or destroyed, it is not a matter for our military. The United States shall respect the sovereign power of all nations." All right. I think that's pretty clear. There's not much in the way of weasel words there. However, this jackwad did in fact orchestrate, as proved by the people scribbling on the wall of the embassy, that he was involved in exactly that, the damage or destruction of American property overseas. The walls within an embassy, that land is American territory. If the Iraqis do not want us there, they can tell us to leave, they can kick us out, and we at that point would have no right to be there. The American Congress can kick us out by withdrawing funding and forcing us to close the facility and depart. Until they do so, or until they modify the AUMFs or delete them, which they also have the power to do, and which, by the way, started being put into place and have been renewed and slightly modified starting right after 9/11. Until they do that, the power for us, the CIC, whoever that might be, whether it be Obama or Trump or Bush or whoever, to go whack the head of foreign terrorist organizations that have been explicitly designated as foreign terrorist organizations is unquestioned. It is in American law. And by the way, if you have somebody who is imminently planning a military action or other similar attack, under international law, you have the right to take them out. You don't need an AUMF for that. All right, so we are clearly within those rights. And as I pointed out yesterday in the podcast, this is the reason that the Mexicans, Obrador, and all the rest of the people, along with a bunch of people here in the United States, are squealing like damn pigs about the suggestion that we would designate the narco-terrorists in Mexico as foreign terrorist organizations. Now, we have every right to do that, and we damn well should. But why are they screaming about that? Because it gives us the right to decapitate those entities. And by doing so, we fall immediately within existing AUMFs and within international law that when you are detected a about to happen action of this sort by such an organization, you can stop it. And it doesn't matter whether they're within your territory or not. It makes absolutely no difference. All right, that is the entire point, because terrorist organizations, by definition, tend not to stay within their own borders. The case for what we did being perfectly within those rules, not being a close case or close call, is made even stronger by the fact that this clown face left Iran and was in Iraq when he got waxed. Now, if he'd been within Iran, it would have been a little bit tougher to justify. However, he wasn't. He was running around Baghdad's airport. So, oops, sorry, so sad. You're a bunch of burnt hamburger, and I'm sure you taste like crap, and nobody's going to want to eat you anyway. Yeah, too damn bad. All right. So, for those of you that think that this is some kind of a new thing, or that I'm jumping on that's just a load of bullshit. And may I point out that Black Jesus, that would be President Obama, droned something like 2,600 people during his time in office. Where was all the outrage when that was going on? How come no one then was screaming that he should be impeached for this, that he should be removed from office? By God, black man bad. No, we can't say black man bad, right? He droned people like they were dropping like flies. And you know what? He did it under the exact same authority. Now, I happen to think that an awful lot of the stuff that Obama engaged in was criminally stupid. However, criminally stupid as President of the United States and unlawful are not the same thing. Some of the actions he took in that regard were absolutely counterproductive and dumb. Nonetheless, foreign policy is kind of like that. You put a guy in the left seat and you get what you get. as far as it's, and as long as there's no corruption involved here, and I don't know how in the hell you're going to make an argument that there is when it comes to Trump. I don't think that he was planning a Trump Tower in Baghdad, my friends, nor one in Tehran. You just got no leg to stand on here. All right, let's talk about a few other things related to this. First off, all the screamers on the left and in the press that doing this kind of thing is somehow going to be so terribly destabilizing. Oh my God, there's going to be retaliation, blah, 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 blah. Let me point out to you for the last 10 plus years, in fact, going all the way back to when Bush was in office, 9/11 happened. We knew within a very short period of time that Saudi Arabia was largely behind that. We also knew that Iran was involved in 9/11. These are facts. There in the 9/11, in the commission report related to the Iranian links, we instead went into Iraq because we wanted some casus belli to go do that, and we didn't really care whether or not that was the truth. What we knew at the time, again, very shortly after the attacks occurred, was that the funding and much of the logistics came from KSA, Saudi Arabia, and that Iran had a hand in it as well. Instead of doing the correct thing, which is to follow the doctrine that I laid out in that nice little piece, that, oops, you guys did that, you attacked on American soil, you destroyed American property, you killed Americans, we're going to wax you. And whether we go level it, turn it into glass or whatever have you, no. Instead, we fabricated this bullshit about Iraq and went into there and played hell over in that place because, well, the theories are wide on that. Everyone thinks that, Bush wanted to avenge his father. Who knows? All right, it doesn't matter. What does matter is that we were fully justified at the point that KSA did that to turn around, invade the country, take it over, kill everybody there, and then tell all the Musloids, look, here's how it works, folks. We're going to leave Mecca and Medina alone for right now. But the very next terrorist incident that happens anywhere in the world, we're going to use Mecca as a bombing range, including for nuclear testing. We're going to make sure that none of you clowns can ever get there again, period. And oh, by the way, all of you that want to come and do your homages and your hajjs and all that crap, you're going to get visas because this is now U.S. territory, much like Guam. And oh boy, that would have gone over well. But it would have been an entirely appropriate response for what was both a military and civilian attack on the people of the United States. Pentagon was a military target, folks. All right, that was an act of war. And the people responsible, who were the Saudis and the Iranians, should have paid for it. They didn't. Now, over the last, 20 years almost, we've allowed them to continue to play their bullshit games. Is there any question where they got the idea they could get away with it this time? I don't think so. Not only did you have Bush that let them get away with this crap, but you also had Black Jesus that let them get away with this crap on a repeated basis. And in fact, Obama actually, to many degrees, helped them with regards to the Muslim Brotherhood and all the whole thing in Syria and all other kinds of garbage. So let's back up a bit here, because there was, I'm sure, a very real belief that this guy could go into Iraq, he could go have his little meetings, he could foment some more unrest, he could do whatever, and maybe we'd bitch and moan, but we wouldn't do anything substantial. Remember that the Iranians took out one of our unmanned aerial vehicles, a drone, non-armed one, a surveillance drone, quite some time ago, and we didn't do much of anything about it. Well, you keep doing stuff like this, I warn you, do not do that again. And you do nothing. Why would you not believe you could continue to get away with this? That doctrine has changed. It is now blatantly clear to Iran, as well as everybody else over there in the Middle East, that if you injure our people or kill our people, or if you attack our property, we are going to respond, and we're going to do it very rapidly. We're not going to think about it. We're not going to have all kinds of contemplations and 400 meetings and, oh my God, we got to talk about who's going to be offended. Is the Muslim population going to hate us? We figure out who was responsible for it, and you get a Hellfire missile in the back of your car. And that's just how that is. Maybe you think about that before you decide to commit another terrorist act. Gee, that would actually be a very positive gain for everybody in the world, wouldn't it? If they knew, those people knew, hey, we cannot screw around with American assets and American people. That sounds an awful lot like my foreign policy position. Thus, my support for what happened. This doesn't have anything to do with anything more complicated than that, folks. It has nothing to do with whether or not I like the President of the United States. I don't like Trump. Those of you who have listened to any of this stuff know that not liking somebody is not the same thing as saying that you ought to just throw him out because I don't like him. That's not how politics works. That's not how reason works. Just because I don't like you doesn't mean that I'm going to turn around and shoot you, which is what a lot of people seem to think that, at least in a political context, is appropriate. And maybe they think it's appropriate in a real context, in a physical context as opposed to a political one. Nope, sorry, that's not how it works. I can think you're the biggest jackass in the world, but you still have the right to survive and still have the right to be a jackass. I just don't have any obligation to have anything to do with you. Very, very clean delineation there. So let's keep things on the proper guideline here and looking at things from this way. The opportunity existed to get this guy when Obama was in office, and they didn't take it. So keep this in mind, folks. The Obama administration continued to allow this monster to kill not just Americans, but Iraqis and Iranians as well. So before you go on about this, think about this fact. A very substantial percentage of the American servicemen running around today missing an arm, a leg, or more had that happen to them directly as a result of the actions of this dude who is now red mist. I'm willing to bet that every single one of them thinks that this was a pretty good shot, and I happen to stand with them on that. I'm your ticker guy, and that's how I see it.